We've set out to overthrow functioning constitutional democracies in over 20 countries. We manipulated elections in dozens of countries. We created standing armies and directed them to fight. We went after to organize ethnic minorities to encourage them to revolt. The first thing we did in Nicaragua was to go to the Mosquito Indians, who had never gotten along with the other people in Nicaragua very well, and give them more money than they had seen in the entirety of history, and arms and training and rationales and sanctuaries in Honduras, and sent them into Nicaragua to attack, kill, fight, rape, burn, pillage. And this has been a technique the CIA has used in Nicaragua, in Thailand, in Vietnam, in Laos, in the Congo, in Iran, Iraq with the Kurds, in different parts of the world. We created, trained, and funded death squads like the Treasury Police in El Salvador. And we've assassinated world leaders, including the United States President in 1963, and I'll get to that in more detail in just a moment. You can never be sure how many people are killed in the jungles of Laos or the hills of Nicaragua, but adding them up as best we can, we come up with a figure of 6 million people killed, minimum figure. It has to be more than that. These things are all done in countries of the third world where the governments don't have the power to force the United States to stop destabilizing the country and brutalizing their people.
We are an incredibly ruthless country. The amount of murder and mayhem that we've created around the world is just unbelievable. You know, I was looking at a study the other day put out by Lancet, which is a scientific journal, and they did a study. This was put out, you can see it on the internet, it was put out in November of 2025. And what the article did was it looked at sanctions, American sanctions, from 1971 to 2021. 1971 to 2021. And it asked what were the consequences of those sanctions. And we murdered 38 million people. 38 million people. The amount of havoc we have wrought on the Middle East in recent years is just stunning. If you think about the consequences of the Iraq War, what we do in places like Venezuela, Cuba, Iran, you understand we're using this tremendous economic leverage we have to basically starve people, to make them suffer, to inflict great punishment on them so that they'll rise up against their government. You understand that this is what we're doing in Venezuela. This is what we're doing in Iran. We're inflicting massive punishment on these people. Given all that, I find it very difficult to talk about the United States as a noble country. I just don't think that we are exceptionally virtuous when it comes to foreign policy.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 12, verse 8. It reads, "The wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted." Shalom, shalom, shalom. Your brother Kahan from the GMS Prophetic Vibration Camp here in Trinidad, with another edification to the power and spirit of Yahweh Baal Shem Yahushai. So first and foremost, call Halayam La Alahayanawa, Yahweh Baal Shem Yahushai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai. Double honors unto the apostles, the bishops, the elders, a great millstone that rule well. Salutation unto the brothers who preaching and teaching the truth through all the four corners of the earth, risking their lives and their freedom to do so no more than ever. Shalom unto the speckled bird Israelites, along with the very few but faithful Akwat. We say Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. Unless they be stopped, they will continue to murder. Yeah? Unless they be stopped, they will continue to murder. This is what we are dealing with. This is the whole criteria of the situation here. They needs to be stopped. They needs to be disposed of. Alright? This particular race of people, the Edomites, alright, which is the so-called white man, the so-called white race, the Caucasians, yeah, they needs to be disposed of, because they are the cancer of the earth, as others always say. They are. And unless they be taken out of the way, this world will continue to be in turmoil. This world will continue to bleed. Alright? It will continue to bleed. Because everywhere this man go, it proves. Pursuant to Habakkuk. Pursuant to Habakkuk. Where is it? Alright. Habakkuk chapter 2. And verse 4. I will start from verse 4. Habakkuk 2 and 4, where it reads, Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him. Alright, it is not upright in him. Hence the reason why they kill with impunity. They murder with impunity. They have no remorse. They have no remorse for their wicked acts, for the amount of death, yeah, that they have caused upon the face of the earth, that they have brought forth upon the face of the earth. Alright? It says, But the just shall live by his faith. Yea, also because he transgressed by wine. Alright? His wine is what? His mean flavor of wine, you know. You have different flavors of wine, you know. You have, you have wine that's made out of grape, you know. You have wine that's made out of banana, you know. All different types of fruit. Alright? But wow, that's so, as the scripture says, you shall know them by their fruits, yeah? Hey. So his main fruit flavor of wine is democracy. And democracy always, the establishment for democracy is always death. Alright, democracy could never be established without blood being shed. So basically, democracy, death and democracy goes hand in hand. Alright, death and democracy, it goes hand in hand. So as it says, Yea, also because he transgressed by wine, he is a proud man. Alright, neither keep it at home. Alright, so what? They go all through the four corners of the earth, spreading their lies of democracy and bringing death and mayhem on the people. Alright, funding wars, arming groups. Alright, arming groups to go up against their people and what have you, so forth, and destabilizing countries and what have you, so forth, especially if the country that they are destabilizing, well, I should say, the reason why they're destabilizing it is because the leaders, you know, they're not getting the leaders to play ball. Alright, take Iran for example, take Venezuela for example. Alright, Iran, which recently this year, you know, had some serious protesting going on and what have you, so forth, and they admitted that they were at the helm of it. Alright, Babylon along with Israel, you know, with CIA and Mossad agents and what have you, so forth. You know, there is what it is. There is what it is here. So death and democracy, it goes hand in hand. And they never stay at home. They always goes into wherever country they decide to go, where they know, it has stuff for them to benefit of, as in natural resources and what have you, so forth. Alright, there's where it is. So it says here, who enlarging it his desire as hell and is as death. Yeah, and is as death and can never be satisfied, cannot be satisfied. But God written unto him all nations, and heap it unto him all people. Alright, there's where it is with this man. This man, will go through the four corners of the earth, just bringing death. Under the guise of democracy, that he is bringing democracy. There's where it is. These people have so much blood on their hands, it's a shame. So much blood on their hands. Alright? Through the four corners of the earth, from through the Americas, over in the Middle East, so-called Middle East. Alright, throughout Asia, Vietnam, North Korea, the North Korean War, the Vietnam War, Afghanistan, Iraq. Yeah? So much blood on their hands, whether it be by waging conventional wars or unconventional wars, or whether it be by sanctions, starving out the people, what have you, so forth. There's where it is. These people, these Edomites, they really are the harbinger of death. They really are the harbinger of death. That's why the scripture says in Proverbs, it's 16. No, Proverbs 4 and 16, but I could start at 14 or 12 or something like that. Let me see. Yeah, we'll start at 14. Proverbs 4 and 14, where it reads, enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not into the way of evil men. Avoid it. Pass not by it. Turn from it, and pass away. Why, Lord? For they sleep not, except they have done mischief. Alright? For they sleep not, except they have done mischief. And those two clips that was played at the beginning of this edification, alright, where these two Edomite men, pursuant to Psalms 64 and 8, their own tongue shall fall upon themselves, was exposing all the mischief that they have been carrying out through the four corners of the earth, the armament of different groups and what have you, so forth, the stabilizing of nations, alright, sanctions, and just waging war and what have you, so forth, just to bring forth death. Just to bring forth death. Let's look at that. Alright. These people, they're all about death. Revelation 6, where it speaks about the red horse and the pale horse, it's describing them, and it's describing them to a T. Alright. It's describing them to a T. And how to put this, boy? A straightforward thinking Edomite who Although you wouldn't get that, really, it's very rare amongst them, but Edomite that is really, Edomite that faces facts, Edomite that faces facts and deal with the reality and deal with truth and accepting of the truth. When I say of the truth, of their actions over the millennials, ever since they've been on the face of the friggin' earth. All right, they will they will acknowledge and accept the fact that they are a murderous, sadistic, evil, diabolical, satanic race of people. All right, there is what it is. So it says, for they sleep not except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away, unless they cause some to fall, for they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. And so these sorts of actions is only actions that you would get from a people that is really and truly and actually the basis of men. Alright? To see that you would go at all leaps and bounds and just murder, continually murder and 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 murder with no remorse, just to achieve whatever you want to achieve. Yeah, here's where it is. Now they give a rough figure of 6 million and 38 million, 38 million by the way of sanctions, 6 million, by the way of all these wars that they have waged and whatnot, so forth. As the guy in the first video, the former CIA, that was a CIA director, as the caption was saying, a former CIA director, and he was exposing and what have you, so forth, and he was given a rough figure, of 6 million. He said it's more than likely, it could be well more than that. It's way more than that. It's way more than that. That 6 million, maybe 6 million documented deaths. What about the undocumented? Alright. And that was 6 million back then. As into how long that clip, how long that expose was brought out. Alright, because you still have to put into effect Iran, Afghanistan, Libya. Alright, Libya, Gaza. Alright, all these things combined. Alright, along with deaths caused by sanctions and what have you, so forth, where they starve any people, people can't get medication and whatnot, so forth, treatment for whatever chronic disease that they have, stuff like that. Alright, these people have so much blood on their hands, it ain't funny. But this is what you get when you have the bases of men ruling upon the face of the earth. You understand? This is what you get. That's why these people have to be taken out of the way. Because these people could do nothing else but just bring death and misery. Death and misery, and The earth is going to rejoice. As the scripture say, the earth is going to rejoice. At the fall, the earth is going to break out into singing. Because the world is seeing this man for who they are. Alright, the world is seeing this man for who these people, for who they truly are and what they represent, what they are about. Alright, that's why when I go to Isaiah 32 and 5, where it reads, the vile person shall no more be called liberal, nor the child said to be bountiful. Because this is who they are vile, as the scriptures say, they are viler than the earth. And pursuant to Job, I think it's chapter 20 or chapter 30 and verse 8. Alright? They were viler than the earth, and this is who they are. Alright? This is who they are. For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity to practice hypocrisy. Yeah, to practice hypocrisy. Alright? Because here it is. Take for instance, Trump and the Maduro situation and whatnot, so forth. You know, or even Iran. For 47 years, they have been murdering, and for 47 years, and for 47 years, and for 47 years. Hey, why don't you talk about for 250 years, ever since you all become as a independent nation? You talk about 47 years. Try 250 judgment years. 250 years. 250 years of just murder. Pure murder. If you ain't carry it out yourself, you hire. Yeah? If you ain't, when I say carry it out, as in send your soldiers, send your kill squads, alright? You fund and hire, as in armed groups, and train them and whatnot, so forth, and send them out to do your dirty job. You know, so so basically your fingerprints wouldn't be found at the crime scene. That is what it is. Yeah. That is what it is. This is what you do. But then want to talk about for 47 years, and this one is a dictator, and this one is killing his people, and this one is doing that, and this one is... Don't study what other people is doing. Study what you is doing. Take the beam out of your eye first, as the scripture. I'll come back to that, to the scripture here. I ought to go to it, man. I ought to go to it. Because that is how Shai was speaking there. I'll come to it in red letter. I think that in Matthew 7. Alright. Alright. Matthew 7 and 1, where it reads, judge not that ye be not judged. Alright. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again. Yeah? And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thine own eye? Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, let me pull out the mote out of thine eye, and behold, a beam is in thine eye? Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye. You understand? This is where it is. They are a bunch of murderous hypocrites. A bunch of murderous hypocrites. This is what they are. Yeah? Going back to the scripture, Isaiah 32 and 5, I'll read it over again, and 6, Salakia. For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity to practice hypocrisy and to utter error against the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, to make empty the soul of the hungry, and he will what? And he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. The instruments of the true are evil. He devised wicked devices, to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speak it right. Yeah? But the liberal deviseth liberal things, and by liberal things shall he stand, which is the righteous. These people are vile, and the world is seeing them for who they are. They are literally the cancer of the earth, and they must be stopped, and they will be stopped. You see, everything is according to the working of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, and he's allowing them to continue and continue and continue. All right, they are almost at their wits. They are almost at their bound, in which they cannot pass. You know, and that is going into the MOTB and World War III. All right, and when that MOTB come up on the scene and World War III culminate into thermonuclear warfare, that's it. Their time is almost up. Yeah, their time is almost up. There's where it is. Their time is almost up. They're going to receive that judgment in which they truly and richly deserve. Yeah, in which they truly and richly deserve. That's why the Lord said, pursuant to Galatians, let's get that. Galatians, I think is I think it's 4:16, I believe. No, not 4:16. Let me see something. No. Is it 6? Is it 6? Yeah, 6 and 7. Galatians 6 and 7, where it reads, Be not deceived, Yahweh is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, but he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap everlasting life. And they have been always reaping to the flesh. Alright, they sow to the flesh, Salakia. They have been always sowing to the flesh. So they shall reap to the flesh. Alright? You can't expect to be doing all this murder, or having the earth in a chaotic state, having, bleeding the earth, as in literally bleeding, shedding the blood of the people. All right, especially Jake. But I'm not only just concentrating on Jake, I'm concentrating on the earth, because they have full control over the earth, and the whole earth is in mourning because these people is ruling, and they are ruling in unrighteousness, and they are just bringing pain and suffering. All right. And as much as the Lord is avenging the world for what they have done unto Israel and what have you, so forth, and the Lord, is going to do what he has to do for the upliftment and the reestablishment of the nation of Israel and what have you, so forth. But at the ending of the day, the nations is the Lord's creation at the ending of it all. All right? And what have you been doing to the Lord's creation? All right? As in the rest of the nations. You have been bringing death and destruction, pure evil, wickedness. All right? That is what it is. That's why the Lord said what? I think there is I gotta type that in. Bear with me, I gotta type that in. How that go? Come on. And I will not AQUITE acquit the wicked. Alright, okay. Yes, Nahum, and I was correct. Alright, Nahum 1 and 3. I just couldn't remember the exact chapter. Alright, so let's take a look at that, which is Nahum, the book of Nahum, chapter 1 and verse 3. Alright, a matter of fact, I will start from verse 2. Alright, Nahum 1 and 2. Yahweh is jealous, and the Lord revengeth. The Lord revengeth and is furious. The Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, will take vengeance on his adversaries. And who is his main adversary? Esau Edom, the so-called white man. And he reserveth wrath for his enemies. The Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and will not acquit the wicked. They're not going to get away. Alright? They're not going to get away. They will never get away. Alright? The Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, hath his way in the whirlwind, and in the storm, and in the clouds are the dust of his feet. Alright? So yeah, they're not going to be acquitted. Alright? They're going to get what is rightfully deserving unto them, which is the same judgment of death and destruction. But the thing is, their own is going to be so grieved that it's going to literally wipe them off the face of the earth. Their death and destruction is going to wipe them off the face of the earth after they face 1,000 years of slavery. This is what it is. Because their crimes is so grave, it is so heinous, alright, that the only deservable punishment for them is death. Alright? The only deservable punishment for these people is death. The whole of Esau Edom. Okay, the whole of Esau Edom. From the elites to these lower level proud ass Edomites. Alright? That's what have to come to them. Alright? Because these people are the harbinger of death. And unless they be stopped, this world will continue to be in the condition that it is in right now as we speak. You understand? This is where it is. And no one is going to stop them. No one is going to stop Salakia, stop the Lord when he's bringing that judgment upon them. You understand? Pursuant to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12 and verse 12. Wisdom of Solomon 12 and 12, where it reads, For who shall say, and this is concerning the judgment of the Lord. This is concerning the judgment of the Lord. For who shall say, What hast thou done? Or who shall withstand thy judgment? Yeah? Or who shall accuse thee for the nations that perish, whom thou hast made? Or who shall come to stand against thee? Yeah? To be revenged for the unrighteous men. Who? Who? Who is going to stand up for these? When Esau is being judged, who's going to stand up for him? Who is going to be Esau's Johnny Cochran? Yeah? Who's going to be Esau's Johnny Cochran? Who's going to be Esau's advocate? And accuse the Lord? Put the Lord to trial? Yeah? Who? Who? For neither is there any power but thou that carest for all, which is all Israel, to whom thou mightest shew that thy judgment, yeah, is not unright. Alright, neither shall king or tyrant be able to set his face against thee. Yeah. So Trump and all these wicked men, yeah, Netan, not a Jew, and what have you, so forth, and all these top brass within the respective military and what have you, so forth, and all these other politicians, along with the elites, the banking elite, and what have you, so forth. Yeah, they will be put to shame, and they can't say anything when the Lord is up, when the Lord has them in that, when the Lord, has them in that judgment that He's about to bring upon them. They cannot see. They wouldn't even have the chance to say, well, you're being unfair. They wouldn't even have that audacity to say that. That is what I'm looking for. To say, well, you're being unfair unto us, and what have you, so forth. Yeah? Neither shall king or tyrant be able to set his face against thee, for any whom thou hast punished, Yeah? So nobody, nobody, all right, is going to step in. Nobody is going to step in on behalf of these Edomites when the Lord is judging them. Yeah? No one. For so much then as thou art righteous thyself, thou orderest all things righteously, yeah, thinking it not agreeable with thy power to condemn him, that hath not deserved to be punished. Yeah? Yeah? I'm reading it over again. For so much then as thou art righteous thyself, yeah, thou orderest all things righteously, thinking it not agreeable. Don't you think it is not agreeable? Don't you think that it is agreeable with thy power to condemn him that hath not deserved to be punished? Alright? So what? Who is going to not agree with the Lord when He is judging Esau, Edom? Who it is not going to agree? The scripture said the whole earth is going to rejoice. So basically what? The world is going to agree. The world is going to be in agreement, in agreeance with Yahweh. Why Yahweh Shai when Esau, Edom is being judged? Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Alright, and they are going to be judged. and they are going to be taken out of the way. This is your brother Kahan from the GMS Prophetic Vibration Camp here in Trinidad, signing out, saying Kal Halayam, La Allah Hayanawa, Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakaha Kodash, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai. Double honors unto the apostles, the bishops, the elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Salutation unto the brothers who preaching and teaching us truth throughout the four corners of the earth, risking their lives on the freedom to do so, no more than ever. Shalom unto the speckled blood Israelites, and shalom unto the very few but faithful Akwat. Your brother Kahan signing out, saying shalom, shalom, shalom to the hopeful elect. Wa abad babal, wa abad babal, unto America, Babylon the Great.